How's it going, everybody? I'm back to make another video. It felt really great making the first one, so here I am for my second video. YouTube has changed quite a bit. I wasn't able to log into my old account, Jimmy Jameson 50187. Just a shout out to my old channel. So I'm just doing it with the new format, I guess, and I'm just going to keep rolling with it, I suppose. It felt good to make a video, so I'm back for another one. We had a storm roll through here yesterday morning in Illinois, and it was a nice rainy, cool storm we had. So I thought, I was sitting there drinking my coffee, and I wanted to listen to some jazz music. So I kind of pulled out random records out of my jazz section of my shelves and spun a few, and I'm going to sit here and shoot the shit and talk about the records I listened to. First, this is what I'm listening to at the moment, Michael Frank's Blue Pacific. This is a great record. I have a few other records from Michael Frank's late 70s, earlier 80s releases, but this is from 1990 on the Reprise label. All compositions by Michael Franks and production from Jeff Lorber, Tommy LaPuma, Walter Becker, Steely Dan. So it definitely has that crisp, clean, great production on this album. Great album overall. Michael Franks, it's very smooth, very relaxing. He has great vocals, very smooth vocals, great delivery, and it's a great record. It's a good, relaxing record. So that's what's playing right now. The first record I had listened to yesterday, I put on the turntable, was the 360 Degree Music Experience, Insanity. This was a great record. It was made in Italy. I'm not sure. There we go. Made in Italy. It's on the Black Saint record label. And this was a very free jazz record. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm not gonna lie, there was moments where I kind of got lost. I kind of spaced out a little bit when I was listening to this. But I found myself reading the insert. Very cool. And I'm not too familiar with a lot of the artists on this record, but it was a live recording except for one track, Open, which was recorded during a break in the mixing process. The following night, the entire album was recorded during one long session. So if you're a fan of jazz, this is great, free, very spontaneous performance. If you're a beginner and just starting to get into jazz, I would not recommend this album, but this album rocks. It's you have everything from flutes, steel drums, timbales, congas, soprano, alto, sax, tenor, bass. This is a great record. Definitely 1976 on Black Saint Records. Good stuff. Insanity. Keeps true to its title. This is an insane record. Once again, I kind of got lost listening to this record a little bit, but it's good stuff. Very free, if you're into that kind of thing. The Charles Lloyd Quartet, Lovin', recorded live at the Fillmore, San Francisco, 1967. This features Charles Lloyd, of course, on he does the excuse me, Charles Lloyd, Keith Jarrett, Ron McClure, and Jack DeJohnette. Tenor sax and flute, Charles Lloyd plays. Sorry about that. Keith Jarrett and Jack DeJohnette. I love Jack DeJohnette, one of my favorite jazz drummers. Keith Jarrett. Both so young on this album. And according to the back of this was the first live recording at the Fillmore in San Francisco. So very interesting little piece of history. Keith Jarrett, the pianist, and Jack DeJohnette, drummer. They've done a few other collaborations, and they are just two of my favorites. I have both of their records on the ECM label, which is a jazz label I thoroughly enjoy, and I have a good portion of their record. They did, recordings for other labels as well. But anyway, Loving the Charles Lake Quartet. This is great stuff. This has Here, There, and Everywhere, a Beatles cover, but Temple Bells, track 2. If you're not familiar with this album, look it up on YouTube. It's Temple Bells, just rocks. And Memphis Dudes Again / Island Blues opens with a killer solo from Charles Lloyd. Good stuff. Loving the Charles Lloyd Quartet. Great jazz album. And kind of sticking with, you got the CTI Summer Jazz at the Hollywood Bowl. This is part 2, live 2. I'm assuming there's a live 1, which I would like to get my hands on. But the artists, this is a cool picture too. You have everyone from, once again, Jack DeJohnette appears on this album. You have Diodato, Bob James, Ron Carter on bass, Freddie Hubbard, Milt Jackson on vibes, Joe Farrell, Grover Washington Jr., Hank Crawford. This was a great album. This had, if you're familiar with the CTI label or Kudu, this has a lot of soul to it, soulful, funky. I think, what track was it? Rock Steady, track 2 on side 1 was just killer. This is good stuff. So many great artists on this album, and definitely shows that live at the Hollywood Bowl, CTI Summer Jazz, great record. Another one I was listening to yesterday, Keith Jarrett, Mysteries. This one wasn't bad. It was from 1976. This is on ABC label, ABC Records. Mysteries. It wasn't a bad listen. I'll probably have to listen to it again. But as I just mentioned, I'm a big Keith Jarrett fan. This record didn't stand out to me as much as a few of his other releases earlier or later. Not bad though. Not bad overall. Features Keith Jarrett, Dewey Redman, Charlie Hayden, Guillermo Franco, and Paul Modian or Motion. I can never pronounce his name. Modian. On drums, great drummer. Great album. I mean, it's not one I would recommend if you're just getting into Keith Jarrett. Certainly not a record I would say to start off with, but not bad overall. Keith Jarrett Mysteries. And to go with that, this is actually the album I was really digging. Treasure Island, Keith Jarrett. This has pretty much the exact same lineup with the addition of Sam Brown on guitar and Danny Johnson. I believe he's playing percussion on this album. This is a great record though. This one I would highly recommend to someone that's just getting into jazz or isn't familiar with Keith Jarrett. This is from 1974, once again on the ABC label. And Sam Brown's on guitar. He does some really cool soloing, and he kind of takes place of the sax, I believe, on like 1 or 2 of the songs. Great record. This one I might listen to again today because I thought this was just great. Keith Jarrett, Treasure Island. What track was it? Les Mistral. That would be the one I'd recommend checking out on YouTube if you're not familiar with Keith Jarrett. Great record though. I highly recommend this one. Mysteries wasn't bad, but I would start with Treasure Island. That's one of my favorite Keith Jarrett records. Lee Morgan, The Sidewinder. This album jacket is beat to shit. I remember when I first really started collecting back when in my late teens, early 20s, I had bought this at a thrift store. And show this really quick. On the Blue Note label, a label I'm sure many people are familiar with and enjoy. The Sidewinder's just, in my opinion, one of my favorite records in my jazz collection. This album just shreds. Lee Morgan, a good hard bop trumpeter. This is 1964, I want to say 63, 64. Joe Henderson, Barry Harris, Bob Crenshaw, Billy Higgins. This album, highly recommend. I'd give this 2 thumbs up all day. Maybe someday I'll get a reissue or a cleaner copy. I don't know. The record itself is in great shape. The jacket obviously a little beat up, but if you're into that, if you're in the Blue Note, I'm sure many of you out there are familiar with this album, familiar with Lee Morgan, but the Blue Note label, great record. The Sideliner, but Lee Morgan. I have a few other records from him, but this one I might have to listen to again because that one always stood out to me. So we got Wildflowers, the New York Loft Jazz Sessions. Wildflowers 1. Cool cover. Love that artwork. And this was the Douglas Wildflower series. It was recorded at the loft home of saxophonist composer Sam Rivers during 7 nights of the New York Loft Jazz Scene, a 5-record collection of 22 performances by over 60 major musicians. So, this is 1. I'm assuming there's also 2 through 5. I'd love to get my hands on them someday. Once again, it's very free, very kind of spontaneous. But there's some really good soloing on here from these guys. Again, artists I was not too familiar with. Certainly not big names that I've seen before or heard of before. But this record is just... This is great. Highly recommended for any jazz listener, really. Like I said, it's very free sounding, but it's fucking shreds. It's very grooves and shreds, and it's got all the good fixings for a good jazz record. Jack Bruce, Things We Like. A name that you wouldn't automatically associate with jazz music, but this record is incredible. Jack Bruce, obviously, bass player from Cream. Had a solo career. I used to have, I think I still might, Songs for a Tailor. This was 1960. It says 1971, but I think it was recorded in the late 60s. John McLaughlin, John Heisman, Dick Hextall Smith. Once again, I found this at the record store, and I picked it out. You know, certainly not a name you associate with jazz, Jack Bruce, but this record just kills. With John McLaughlin fucking shredding, as usual, as he does. And, yeah, this is just a great jazz record. I mean, not what I was expecting, to be honest with you. I was expecting, you know, some blues-driven kind of rock. But, yeah, Things We Like, Jack Bruce. Highly recommended. This album's fucking great. It just kills. And Dick Hextall Smith, check that out. He's doing like the what's his name? Roland Kirk. Playing 2 at once. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if I could ever quite master that, but yeah, once again, I gotta show this one more time. Things We Like, Jack Bruce, and I'm pretty sure this was recorded. From what I read, it was pretty sure this was recorded like a month or a couple weeks or a month prior to Cream's farewell tour. So 1967, 1968. So Jack Bruce, good stuff. The last one on the show, Brian Slauson, Distant Drums. Now this definitely has more of like a world kind of flavor to it. You know, you have everything. Everything's going on in this. Everything percussion is going on this album. And when I was listening to this, I have listened to this before, but the first time I was listening to this, there was a guitar, some really shredding guitar on the song Bumblebee Blues, and it turns out Stevie Ray Vaughan does the guitar and vocals on that song. So Brian Slauson, Distant Drums. If you're into like that world music, definitely takes bits and pieces from here and there. Percussion. It's all over the place, but it's a great. It all comes together in the end, and this is a pretty good record. Brian Slauson, Distant Drums, and being a fan of percussion myself, being an individual that likes to play drums, I had to pick it up. So those are the jazz records I listened to yesterday and today for about a few hours. I don't know, it was Sunday, didn't have much else going on. It was storming, and I thought, with my coffee, I think some jazz music would hit the spot. So yeah, so everyone, thank you for whomever's watching this. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you sitting down with me, talking some music, or listening to me talk about music rather. But hope everyone out there is doing well. Hope everyone's hanging in there, trying to stay physically and mentally sharp. So everyone, be good. Thanks for tuning in. As always, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk soon.